It is 7 o'clock, and I will call the meeting of the Town of Mancos Board of Trustees of November 13th, 2024 to order. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brent McCarter.
Here.
Trustee David Hayden. Trustee Nick Manning.
Here.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Here.
Trustee Daniel Hennick.
Here.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
Here.
All right, welcome, Corey.
Thanks, I made it finally.
Your first in person.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented by staff.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The next item is approval of the minutes of October 23, 2024. I would look for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd, 2024.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item up is audience business. And we have Peter Brendamore. And let's see, what do we have? We have 3 minutes for you. So come on up, state your name and address for the clerk. And
Peter Brendamore. I live at 325 East First Street here in Mancos. And I am here to talk about the attempted land grab that's going on up at Chicken Creek. So I imagine that most of you are at least aware of the so-called dispute over the ownership of approximately 1,460 acres in the National Forest 5 miles north of Mancos, commonly referred to as Chicken Creek. Briefly, I'm referring to the attempted land grab underway by a group calling themselves the Free Landholder Committee. I have some QR codes for anybody that's interested if they want to access the media reports that are both in local news media and statewide, the Denver Post. I'm here to request the support of the Mancos Board of Trustees in any way the board sees appropriate, specifically a letter of support for the Forest Service, either to our elected representatives in the U.S. Senate, and the QR code that I am about to give also has direct contacts for them. Okay, so why is this relevant to the town of Mancos and the Board of Trustees? A high percentage of respondents to the most recent community visioning survey, those people live here or own land here for the scenic surroundings and the surrounding natural environment. Those are the second and third highest rankings on the most recent visioning survey. Many and probably most of these people access the forest in the Chicken Creek area. It's in the town's best interest to do whatever it can to ensure the enjoyment of this incredible asset into the future. This area is used for hiking, horseback riding, hunting, fishing. Motorized users use it, cross-country skiing, cattle grazing, dog walking, mountain biking, and other uses as well. Used by out-of-towners brings revenues into local coffers, and that translates into tax revenues for the town of Mancos. The U.S. Forest Service also needs all the help it can get in pursuing justice in this case. Local opinion matters, and providing law enforcement with direct support in the prosecution of this case. The precedent it would set to allow this illegal land grab to persist is a nightmare. The collective forces of locals to remove the fence shows the commitment and passion for this area. So I'm asking the town board of trustees to make their opposition to this attempted theft public. And so that's all I have to say. I don't know if anybody's got any questions for me or
Um,
my time just run out.
yeah. Yeah, you were down to like 2 seconds. Perfect timing. Yes, it's like you practiced. All right, so as I'm sure you're aware, but I'll just say it for everybody. Any requests during public is, we'll think about it, but we can't take action on anything not on the agendas.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I request that this goes on your next meeting's agenda. How about that?
Thank you, Peter.
Sure. And got these printed out. There's QR code on there.
Oh, okay.
It's a link to the Memphis Trails Crew webpage, and it's got links to all of the news articles that have been written about it. Do you have any questions?
Okay, so Peter was the only one that signed up. Does anybody else wish to address the board on an item not on the agenda or an item on the agenda? Okay, seeing none? What? Oh, okay, come on up and state your name and address for the board, and if it's, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Laurel Smirch. I live at 852 West Grand Avenue. I want to take some time to talk to the board this evening about civic participation. There is one thing I think a lot of people can agree on, and that is that civic participation nationwide is not what it should be. 4 years ago, voter turnout among all eligible voters in the US was less than 65%. And to my knowledge, didn't increase very much in the most recent election. I believe civic participation is essential for a healthy democracy, and while there are many things that can be done to address this, one thing could be to help foster an ethic of civic engagement at an early age. What if people as young as 16 and 17 were allowed to vote in local elections here in this town? What if then people running for local elections held debates, public forums, and so on in the high school during the school day? And what if people at this age internalized that they have a stake in their communities? This actually isn't a completely new idea. 2 towns in Maryland, Tacoma Park and Hyattsville, allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in municipal elections. And data shows that these voters actually turn out at higher rates than the general population. In the most recent election, 16 and 17-year-olds in Oakland and Berkeley were allowed to vote in school board elections. And even the impact of gaining that privilege has had some effect on people's sense of agency. One activist who advocated for this said, "It was a very hard fight for us to be able to vote. So just hearing the work that I'm doing here is not for nothing. I have more power than some make it seem like I have." Paraphrase. Some youth voter advocates claim that allowing and encouraging 16 and 17-year-olds to vote can have lasting effects. By the time people turn 18, they're often too preoccupied with major life changes, leaving home, careers, colleges, and so on to think about the importance of voting. However, if people as young as 16 are engaged, they are more likely to become lifelong voters. Advocates also claim that young people who want to vote do so because they want to have power in their communities. If young people can at least have this kind of power and privilege at the local level, it just might cascade into greater civic participation and a healthier democracy.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, so we'll close the audience business portion of the agenda. Next up is announcements.
I just have a few. Just a reminder that there was no second meeting in November, as it would fall on the day before Thanksgiving. The board retreat is on Saturday at 9 a.m. We did finally receive written approval from the Lions Club for the public art at the Pavilion in Boyle Park, so that will be starting sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome.
I will be working on a Dola Energy Impact Grant over the next couple of weeks for the wastewater treatment plant. And we have some new staff starting. We lost our plant technician. She chose a job at Denver Water. So we have replaced her with an internal staff member. We just promoted someone, and then we have already filled that position, and that new person will start the week. But that's all I have.
Awesome. Anybody else?
So next week, there's going to be a film crew here in Memphis. And they're here as part of a larger effort to promote tourism in the area, Vista Verde country, and the state of Colorado, our Colombians project. So you may see, it's next Tuesday in the afternoon, so you guys may see cameras downtown. They're working pretty closely with the creative district, because they want to look at murals and things like that. They may be going to private businesses and things like that. So just going to be looking at.
Do you know what they're gonna do with the footage, where's it gonna go?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna post it on the state tourism website, and then I'm sure Mesa Verde Country Club has some clever way to use it, as they do as kind of the tourist hub for the region, so.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Moving along. Treasurer's report. October bills and claims. I would look for either discussion, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims as presented.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is this all in favor? Or? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Moving right along, committee reports. Montezuma County Commissioner update. Gerald, come on up.
Thank you. There's not a lot to report this week. I did report to you that we were losing our attorney and going through the process of interviews to see what we come up with as far as we may move our assistant attorney up into that position. As a matter of fact, that's our plan right now to do that. That means we're going to have to find a attorney for social services, basically, for mostly child welfare cases. Tough job.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, it's a tough job. You have to like that sort of thing. It's a very emotional situation when you're dealing with people's kids. That situation is a tough job. So my hat's off to people like the guy we had now that we're moving up to the county attorney has done an excellent job for us. He really has. He's passionate about that. He actually worked down on the Navajo reservation for several years in that same capacity with disabled children and stuff down there. So he's had a lot of experience. So hopefully we can find a young man to come in and work under him, and he can tutor him to replace him in that job. Because it's about a 3/4 time position. It's not a full-time position. So that's where we're at with that. I'm sure you've heard we've been having issues with the budget with the sheriff's department. Not a good situation. There's not a whole lot of trust between the commissioners and the sheriff right now. We feel like he intentionally raised all those wages back in January when he knew his budget couldn't stand. He gave everybody else in the county a 5% raise. He raised most of his guys 10 to 20%, up to 24%. So he intentionally, we feel like he intentionally opened that offer. And then he comes and requests $207,000 to fix his budget. It's just not a good situation. And we have not done that. And we probably won't until we just absolutely have to keep from overspending the general fund, because we cannot overspend that. But we may not need all of that, because a lot of our other departments are operating within their budget, and they will have some money left over. We can use that to backfill for it. Yeah, it's not a good situation, but that's what happened. Just so people know what actually happened there, why he drove pretty good. If all of our other elected officials took their employees and raised them like he did, they would be all over their budget. They would be in their requests that. So, unless, to say the least. Someone wants a job.
Nope.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thanks, Gerald.
All right, thank you. Region 9.
Can I ask a question, Gerald?
Sure.
The free landholders thing, is the county looking at that, taking a stance?
What's that?
Well, the free landholders, the land grab, is
Mm-hmm.
the county taking a stand, or what's their stance on that? I'm just curious.
What they're doing, what they're claiming is when the United States and Mexico were basically the United States signed the treaty in Guadalupe, which is a little town right outside of Mexico City. That's where our troops ended up, is in Mexico City. Basically, they signed a treaty there. The United States paid Mexico $15 million in 1876, something like that.
48.
20.
1848. That was the treaty. 1848. Guadalupe it's on that little thing he just gave out.
Anyway, what they're claiming is that the United States, the Republic, cannot hold land. And so they think they can just claim it. Because at one time that land was homesteaded and deeded, and then it got traded back to the Forest Service in a land swap, plus some money deal. And so it's been back in the Forest Service since 1927.
And is the county have an opinion on it, or a secret covenant, or you guys, what's your stance on this?
Well, yeah, we have an opinion on it. I have an opinion on it. It's just, it's just like I told him.
Yeah.
One of the guys was there, and he had an old treaty or an old deed of when it was homestead. I told him, I said, that's fine and dandy, but that's not true. There's no deed to this property in Montezuma County. Nobody's been paying taxes on it. The only taxes paid on that is what I pay as a permittee. I pay accessory interest tax on my permit. That's the only taxes that's ever paid on it. There's no deed to it. It's in the Forest Service name.
Yeah.
Property is. I told him personally, you just to the land deed. He said, "No, I'm a cattle rancher." I said, "You're in one honest cattle rancher. You up here doing what you're doing. Because you're just trying to steal land." That's all. And we've been calling Forest Service, pushing them. We've been calling Senator Bennett's office, pushing them to get something done with this. Because they've got to do something. They've made, I don't know if you guys have been up there or not, trails everywhere.
Yeah.
If I went and done that, built a fence on that permit, which is in my permit, if I went and built that, just went up there and started building a fence, they'd take my permit away and do all kinds of things.
Thank you.
And they need to do something.
Thanks, Gerald.
All right, Region 9. No meeting. Make us planning commission update.
Meetings next week.
Okay. Montezuma County Planning Commission update.
Meetings tomorrow night, nothing reviewed with our spirit reports.
Okay. Mancus Creative District.
It's David.
Okay. Mancus Valley Chamber update.
I've been chatting with Kim in the chamber. They wanted to share some dates, some things coming up. Art Market December 1st, Old Fashioned Christmas December 6th, and Community Holiday Gathering Awards December 12th. As well, I've been chatting with them, and they're going to be having their winter retreat on January 11th. And something that I've asked them to put on their calendar is the discussion that I've been trying to start, which is from the business community, from the chamber's perspective, like what makes the Mancus business community unique in the region, and what role can we play in helping that thrive beyond just pro-business, have more? What makes us unique, and how can we as a board assist in that vision? So it's a big conversation. It's not an answer that we're going to get in one meeting, and I'm hoping that in the January 11th meeting, we can get some really good discussion out of that to give us as a board some direction, and not just what makes us powerful and unique, but what role we can play in making that happen. So more to come soon.
Okay. Mancus School District update.
Nothing yet. No meeting yet.
Okay. Moving on to our discussion and action items. We will now do the student liaison interviews and appointments.
One of our liaisons is not here. I believe they were both invited to attend tonight. Yes. Okay, and so one of the liaisons should.
Okay.
Our other one is here though, that is Olivia Jukes.
Okay. Come on up, Olivia. We'd like to interview you. All right. Just for the record, state your name and address. Or don't state your address. You're a kid. You're a kid. Never mind. Let's strike that. Okay. Olivia. So we're going to just ask some questions and answer them the best you can, okay? All right. So I'll kick us off, and then we can all kind of share and ask in the questions. What interested you in this opportunity?
Honestly, because I've been involved in the community to some extent, the entire time I lived here for Girl Scouts and various sports things. And honestly, saw it as a great learning opportunity for going into the future. I'm a junior in high school, going into life, it's going to be a great learning opportunity, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nick?
Yeah, what skills or qualities do you possess that make you a good fit for the student liaison?
I retain stuff really easily. I'm really open-minded to things, I would say. And I guess just bringing that whole new perspective from a kid in the town. I guess that's.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else.
Thank you. Brent?
What do you hope to gain from this experience? What skills do you hope to gain from this?
I guess learning how a town functions, basically, because it's all new to me. Never really been taught. Learning how that official stuff functions and being a bigger part of it.
You're in the majority. It's okay.
Yeah. Not many people know unless they have to. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
Nothing on that one? Okay.
All right. What does professionalism mean to you, and how do you ensure you maintain professional demeanor at all times?
I guess professionalism is confidence has a lot to do with it, and keeping bias out of things, staying organized, and being a part of it, I guess. Being ready and willing, kind of.
Thank you very much.
All right. Sir?
There'll be times when you hear information from the community, such as a complaint about the town or other community members, How would you handle this?
I guess kind of keep it to myself, like listen to what you guys have to say about it, kind of thing.
Okay. And Corey, you want to tackle the interview close questions?
What questions do you have for us?
Think about this. This. I cannot think of any.
Okay.
And then, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself that we've not covered?
I think it's pretty well been covered. I guess. I don't know.
It's okay, you're in a rush.
Not think about this very much.
Yeah, and I thank you all for that. And I wanted to thank you for comprehensive submittal. So that was really nice. All right. So I guess have a seat before you fall down. And then I would look for a motion in a second.
Make a motion to appoint Olivia Jukes to serve as student liaison to the Board of Trustees through May of 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is this a roll call vote? No. Yes. Okay. Go ahead and call the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Brent McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Jason Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennig.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Jubal.
All right. Welcome to the board.
And hang out up here next time.
Yeah.
Welcome.
What?
You have a oath of office, if you won't mind administering that to Olivia, and she can sit right next to Nick and has her own packet.
Yes.
After this meeting tonight, we will be in touch with Olivia. We will set up a time to give her some information and give her some training, which she's not, this isn't just me coming into it. So you can have a seat tonight and do your best. You do not have to participate tonight if you're not comfortable. We will provide some training.
All right. So the swearing in.
You can understand it for this witness.
Front and center. Front and center.
Okay. All right. So I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Colorado and the ordinances of the town of Memphis, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of student liaison. Saturday. Upon which I have been appointed. Okay. You are sworn in. Okay. Get this all put back together here. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the MOU with Memphis School District for the student resource officer.
So we've been working on this for a few months. You did see this before, and we had some concerns. Those concerns have been resolved. Mayor Simpson and Trustee Hennig did meet with the school district along with Marshall Goodall and myself, met with the school district and some members of the SRO committee on, I believe, October 22nd. We had an in-depth conversation about the concerns and issues and making sure the SRO committee knew that they were heard. They put a lot of time and effort into this. Where the disconnect is, what we all kind of figured out is where the disconnect is, or was on the legal piece of it. There were certain things where they just didn't understand. It wasn't intentional, but they didn't understand, for example, that we cannot order in writing our marshals not to enforce a law. We just can't do that. So most of the concerns were alleviated, and this document is what we all kind of came to agreement on. I will say there are no more, to the best of my knowledge, there are no more legal concerns with this document. The town is not signing anything that we should not sign from a legal standpoint. So, we are asking that tonight you approve this. We all understand that this is the first time that we are doing something like this, where we have this agreement. There is currently an SRO officer on campus. This agreement will formalize that relationship. And this agreement also does allow an annual discussion and input back and forth and collaboration and cooperation. And it also allows for that, if we need to amend it as we use it, boots on the ground, there's a permission for that. So at least staff and myself and the marshal are asking that we approve this. And then we will all sign it and get it enforced. Deputy Marshal Minor is currently the SRO that is on campus. He will continue to be the SRO on campus. He has attended the basic NATRA, which is the National Association of School Resource Officer training. He will attend advanced training, I believe, next summer. And there are some other training requirements that we will work with the school on to ensure that he is trained best of everybody's ability. And we did receive a COPS grant. So we will receive $125,000 over a 3-year period. It is a federal grant, so that's where we are in the process. So we are asking that you approve this tonight if you have no objections or questions.
Do we have time to fix a couple things in it? Just like little typo kind of things? Nothing substantive. On page 6 of the agreement, about 10 lines down on the right, there's SRO and then a space and then a period. So if we can just tighten that up. And then in VA on the same page, would it be yearly trainings or annual trainings? I don't know if it matters, but I'm, me. Because we refer to annual later on in the document. And then in C, review of data, the middle line, I guess, it says reported SRO incidents shared that the SRO has shared. I think there's like a little copy and paste thing there. And that was all I saw. Did anybody else have any? Thanks. I'm a weirdo.
Weird person.
I know. I'm a nerd. I blame journalism school.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So if somebody wants to make a motion and then maybe refer to the typos being included, or fixing the typos being included.
I move to authorize the town administrator to execute the MOU with the Mancos School District related to the SRO with the small changes because of typos.
Sorry.
All right, we have a motion and a second. The clerk, please call the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee McMahon. Trustee Andres Esparza.
Nay.
Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
Aye.
Okay, it passes with 1 no vote, and we will move on to our next item. And thank you to staff and Daniel and everybody that worked so hard on it with the school. All right, so now we have an MOU with CDOT for rectangular rapid flashing beacon upgrades. Heather?
So we talked about this at a workshop. The pedestrian crossing at Beach Street has those diamond-shaped signs, and the lights are embedded in the signs. And it's a yellow sign with amber lights, and they're hard to see sometimes. So I did reach out. Unfortunately, blue and red lights are not allowed; it would be illegal. So what we've done, and I included some information in here for you. We talked about this in a workshop, and the board likes the thought of moving the lights underneath the sign. And then when we were talking about that, we also talked about having ADA push buttons installed. So if you push the button, it speaks to you. So I went back to CDOT and got an upgraded bid, and the bid was $7,300, but it may go up a little bit. I do not know what that might be because the prices change quite often. So I'm asking for a not to exceed $7,500, and for you all to authorize me to enter into this MOU. What this says is that CDOT is going to do all of the work. They're going to use their required materials. They're going to do all of the work. They're going to do all of the installation. It does say in here that we are responsible if those things need maintenance, or the signs and the lights or the push buttons need maintenance, need to be replaced if somebody hits them. The town is responsible for the cost. That is included in the original contract when it was built in 2016. So nothing is different as far as our responsibilities moving forward from the original contract with them on the street crossings. But I did verify that in working with them. So
Okay.
I'm just, yeah, so I don't know if anybody has any questions, has any concerns, is not happy with this, it's more information.
I think it's pretty cut and dry, and I appreciate it. Do you think that if we move to authorize not to exceed 7,500, we're okay, or should we bump it to 8?
I would be fine with you bumping it to 8, because again, I'm just gonna pay the invoice, it's not gonna be an increase. If it comes in more than 7,500 or 8,000, I'm gonna have to come back to you. So if you're comfortable at 8,000, that would be great.
Saves us an extra step.
Yeah.
Well, and considering when we were talking about this at the very beginning, we were thinking tens of thousands of dollars for this because it's CDOT and prices the way they are right now. When you came back with this original bid, I was like, really? Is that a typo? Because I was expecting another 0. So, I mean, I'm fine with 8,000, changing it to that just to give us a little more wiggle room in case prices increase.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns, ideas? Okay. I would look for a motion and a second.
Make a motion to move to authorize the town administrator to execute the memorandum of understanding with CDOT to upgrade the lights and push buttons at the Beach Street pedestrian crossing, and to approve the quote in an amount not to exceed $8,000.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Andreas Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Henning.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Duport.
All right, thank you all. Next item is the accessibility consultant contract.
I'm gonna kick this one off and give you as much information as I can. If you have questions, I can answer them, and Jason can answer them for you.
Okay.
This is a direct result of the website ADA requirements and changes and upgrades, and the legislation surrounding that. We must be able to accommodate disabilities, any disability, moving forward, whether it's on our website, whether someone comes into town hall and wants to see records or whatever that happens to be. Now, the legislation did, or the enforcement date did get pushed to 2025, but we've already taken care of our website. We're working on it. We're also working on some other things behind the scenes, such as a policy and procedure and that kind of thing. But what this will do is Jason was have the foresight to reach out to the Southwest Center for Independence in Durango, because they provide these services to both Lottie County and American, and they agreed to provide those to the town of Memphis as well. So if someone comes in and needs those services, we would pay, the town will pay Southwest Center for Independence at that time, because we are required to. So it's just a simple, basically it's a contract that says if we need something, we can call them and they'll send someone who can help us with braille or who can help us with sign language if there's anything to add.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking while you were saying that, if we needed sign language, that we could even like zoom them in and the person could sit over here and be able to see.
And I know we can do closed captions on the TV if we know,
Yeah,
you know that kind
yeah,
of thing. So
yeah.
we're doing our best. It's going to be baby steps, and I'm sure at some point we're going to be like, oh, we didn't think about that, and then we'll just put a policy in place and take care of it. But we're doing our best to comply with this legislation.
Yeah. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, ideas? Okay. Okay. I guess I would look for a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town administrator to execute the accessibility consultant contract with the Southwest Center for Independence.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee McManning.
Aye.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennett.
Aye.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Land use code discussion is the next item.
Before we turn this over to Jason, so I just want to remind you all that we're just asking you to prioritize these items, or tell us, nope, we don't want you to work on that, or say, the board wants this, or planning commission wants that. This isn't, we're not asking you to go into depth or to make any decisions, so we just want to know, do you have a specific item that you're like, well, this is really important to do it first? Do you want to reserve these discussions for yourself? Do you want us to refer them to the planning commission? So, and then I'm going to turn this over to Jason now, because this is his project.
Okay.
And I would say that the last item on your list, number 8, about affordable housing incentives, both Heather and I agree that that's probably something you guys should tackle, and we don't need to have planning and zoning take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of these seem appropriate for them. So, I mean, like Heather said, we're just looking for some priorities. If you guys want to take this list and think about it and give us priorities at another time, that's completely fine. But I mean, as Heather and I go along and we encounter different situations, we've had this list that we've been making. So, yeah, this is a culmination of that. And, you know, we'll bring Safe Built in as we need to, especially with some of the more legal and technical aspects of the code, so that we can just provide you guys with the most information we can to help you make a decision on these things. Or to not make any changes, but just thought we would start this way.
Okay. Any comments at this time, or do you guys want to take this?
Well, one thing that just stood out to me, opening up the short-term rentals thing, is in direct opposition of our affordable housing goals. Opening that up, that's resort town stuff then. So that just stood out to me as something I wouldn't want to open that up.
Okay. I kind of agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not kind of. I do agree. Yeah.
So you seem a bit of to prioritize research into it.
Well, I'm saying, I mean, every place that allows short-term rentals, you start to have more affordability issues.
Yeah.
So you have outside investors coming in, pushing out. You know, long-term rentals are what we should be focusing on, not short-term rentals here.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I think.
And I think the reason why this is on the list is because case law may force change in our policy that we currently have.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of putting it out there. It hasn't yet,
Yeah.
but know that it, kind of the suggestion in number 5, that choice may be taken out of our hands.
Yeah.
At some point.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We can wait till then.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just follow case law. We'll cross that off of your
Yeah.
list and we'll follow case law.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
As long as we're not doing something illegal, let's not change it.
Yeah.
So we worked a long time on that short-term rental,
Yeah, no, it seems to be.
and it seems to be a good area where we're at right now, and how many we limited it to, and the requirements that we've had put in place.
I guess we haven't had an update in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only have 3 right now.
Any illegal ones?
Yes, and I have a few letters I'm sending out.
Okay. I was gonna say, are we still utilizing that company that kind of gleans the internet?
So we paid for them and, they kind of helped me get set up on being able to monitor short-term
okay.
rentals. But now that I have my process down, I don't see the point to pay them anymore.
Nope.
So I just went now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know that.
Trustees over going,
I was like, yeah, we did. But no, that's awesome.
No, we don't pay for them anymore.
Okay. Okay.
I'm digging.
Yeah, right, and very well.
And not even waiting on what's happening.
Yeah.
I think
All right,
one of the
cool.
things I would like to definitely prioritize is the higher density portion of this, like number 3 with other affordable housing.
Yeah, I agree with that too, yeah.
We kind of saw that in our workshop today, even in the visioning statement, that was something that people wanted us to look at, was increasing the density and having multi-family dwellings and things like that. So I definitely think that's something that we should look into.
Yeah, and just as a heads up, that's gonna potentially require fire code. So they'll have to reconstruct.
So, yeah, I mean, in real life, this is why this ended up on here. We sort of found out through a neighbor that somebody was trying to do that, and their misunderstanding about what legally a duplex is, and
This is
I
the
think
one we've talked about.
I don't know.
Okay. Probably.
I think that just overall, what I think we're gonna see, because I think it's already going on all around us, to be honest, is people are using their single-family residences, and maybe they don't even understand that what they're doing is putting people in jeopardy potentially. But what we leaned on in this situation for this particular property owner was, well, you got to start with making that safe for the people in there. But what we also discovered in our code is we don't really have much in there around adaptation. I think if you're building one from the ground up, we're fine, it covers that. But what I think we're gonna see is instead of people building brand new duplexes, they're gonna just be trying to adapt.
Yeah, how do we retrofit it and have the fire barrier in the top and the bottom?
It's really, and we required them to give us an architectural stamped plan to demonstrate that firewall per our building code. And the property owner backed off of it, I think, after they did some further research into what it was actually going to take.
And cost, yeah.
But I think, again, I think, the way we found out about this is maybe the way we'll find out about other ones. So
right, they're
it might be good
halfway
for
through
us
the
to
project.
just explore, because I don't think we want to stop people from, providing more density this way. I just think there's a safe way and a transparent way for us to work with the community on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like accessory dwelling units. They have to permit them. We have to make sure they meet all the legal criteria and safety.
Yeah, I think the same rules apply. If someone's turning a house into a duplex, you can structural, fire ingress, egress, so it should fall in the category.
Well, that was the most concerning thing to me was, the egress just isn't even addressed. And so we didn't really have anything in code that would make them put in like a separate door for the second unit. And the other thing that was going on was they weren't even trying to do like the first floor. They were trying to do an upstairs and a downstairs, which really puts the second floor people in a bind.
Yeah.
So, because how do they get out?
Illegal to
So,
do it without a stair.
There's just a lot of things that you can imagine that we would like to get in front of potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I think the other thing I would like to see is for the annexation process. I think that's something that I'd like to see the P and Z deep dive into, because I think that that could be a good project for them to work on and really get into that and what our process is for it and drawing up that new document that we're gonna need for it.
So I just want to clarify, we have an annexation process, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just, can you put a packet together to give to people?
yeah, and we encounter this a lot, right? We have things in code, our process isn't as defined as maybe we want to be. And so,
Yeah.
Safe Build, obviously we asked them to do a little research and give us some feedback. So this one's kind of moving down the road already a little bit. So I think it's good to just get in front of it.
Yeah.
I agree. Time comes.
And I mean, personally, I think whatever y'all think is necessary in a packet, you should just do. Like, I don't even think, I think Brent's got a great idea because, P and Z can help. But I think ultimately, whatever you think is going to make it the easiest, best submittals for the applicants, I'd just say go for it and do it. I don't know that needs to come before us. It's just like any of the other applications, although it may be more robust.
There was one element that they said was going to need to get adopted in the code.
Okay.
The impact report. So there may be things that do need a decision.
Yeah.
That's that.
We'll work on the packet, and then if there's something that needs to go, if there's something that needs to be amended in code, we'll start with P and Z.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
so I have a note that says staff, P and Z, and then DOT as needed.
At one point, and I don't know if it's still in there, I haven't looked, we had a part of our code that required every dwelling to have a street-facing front door.
That's so true.
And
Oh my gosh, it's so weird. I still have it.
Front door.
right? And to me, that does away with flagpole lots because they aren't facing the street. Like they're facing another house. So to me, that's like a way around it. I think having flagpole regulations is much cleaner.
But I think legally though, even if it's facing a house, it's still facing the street.
I feel like the way it was written, it was.
It doesn't say it has to front the street, it says it has
Just
to
face the street. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a street on the side of every house if you go far enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If you guys want something to visualize on flagpole lots, visualize the house on Monty behind, it's called the Grand Avenue subdivision. And it was put in place a while ago. It was that whole.
Behind the motel.
It used to be the motel.
Yeah, it's not a motel anymore, but, so that applicant submitted a 5-lot subdivision. And that one property faces Monty. There are no other properties, no other residences have an address on Monty. However, they have a 50-foot street frontage, which is all that's required in our code. And the planning commission, and staff recommended against it, but it approved it at the time before it's done. And so we receive a lot of pushback, feedback, because it looks so close to the house next to it, and it just doesn't fit. And then there's another one over on Montezuma, where it was originally presented as a flagpole lot because the owner at the time was planning on building a home for the mother-in-law, well, as soon as it was subdivided, they sold it. So flagpole lots are problem, can be a problem. This is based on feedback that we have received from the community, from other board members, from realtors, from citizens. So it's by no means a requirement, but it is, this item is in response to some issues that we have heard, seen, and done.
Yeah, I've been getting some calls from different realtors just around this, asking, can I do this legally? Of course I am. So, and right now, you know, I mean, there's not a lot of lots that actually meet some of these requirements anyway, so it's kind of like, you know, just by our code, you don't have 50 feet of frontage, nor do you have minimum lot size. Right. But there are a few, you know, in different pockets here in town limits that could go that way. So again, we can take action on that.
So it feels like we need clear language around flagpole specifically, depending on kind of little carve outs and yes. That's it.
Well, and there are some larger parcels in town that are currently vacant, not necessarily for sale, but currently vacant, that we might see this one. So it's up to you all. By no means required.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like number 6 could go.
Number 6.
Yes.
We don't like weeds. Yeah. Yeah, and I think incorporated in with 6 needs to be really careful, coordination with highway requirements, road requirements. Because I know initially they had those giant rocks out there, and I saw them and I was like, holy crap, we can't have that. So yeah, so I think that would be good. I agree. What's that?
Someone almost hit us when we were working, so that's why they got
Yeah. So I think we need to make sure we take a look at that. Any other comments on these? I mean, if we feel comfortable kind of directing staff with a gut feel, we certainly can.
I think number 8, I agree. I think that should be kind of our purview for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd like to probably see a little more information on it at a workshop.
Yeah, if you got some more ideas, I think
Maybe some ideas that we can bring to it.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot of innovation going on around the state. When I went to that planning conference, there's a lot of communities that are trying to figure this out just to incentivize development at all.
So maybe bring us some like case studies of like other communities and what they've done. Yeah. Just so that we can kind of throw that up against the wall and see what sticks.
What priority is that? Because you guys, so I've got no feedback right now on item number 1, which is flagpole lots. Number 2,
hang on.
staff needs to be a report. Number 3, you guys said was your number 1 priority.
The affordable housing?
The duplexes.
Number 4.
Yeah.
I added to number 3, if we're going to talk about affordable housing and some design and maybe code requirements for that.
Well, I think 3, 4, and 7 are really all tied together. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can aggregate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 5 is crossed off unless case law changes. Number 6 is
right.
Number 8 I have for the DOT, but what is your priority number 2? You want to go to code? Do you want to talk about incentives?
Do we have any pressing lands being subdivided? Is anything in the wind?
We hear a lot of stuff, but we get a lot of inquiries and it never ends up.
We do have something that's probably going to come up for you guys around item number 7, and it's a rezoning request. So put it on there.
Just, you know.
But nothing regarding incentives.
No, I'm talking about the zoning thing. Yeah.
I think the incentives are important just because we're doing everything we can in the affordable housing realm. And I think that one of the main things that we could do, that we can actually do, other than purchasing and building our own damn stuff, is give incentives to people that are willing to put affordable housing here.
So do we want to have item number 3, 4, 7, and 8 kind of run together when we bring you stuff?
Run together, I would think would be good, but the other ones go to the P&Z for work, and 8 would just come to us.
All right.
I think.
Yeah.
Great.
And do we have any desire on flagpole lots? I'd like to see them banned, frankly. I can give you that direction right now. Anybody else have any strong feelings, or would you rather wait on that and see how you feel?
I think it would depend on how big it is. I've seen them, like when we are down there, there's a few where I work, and they create a lot of issues for us a lot of the time.
Talking about just access for fire?
Finding
Emergency service,
Finding them.
Yeah.
Right, you're like, this
Yeah.
little strip that I gotta go down
And
here.
it's like there's 3408, there's 3410, there's 3420.
Yep.
Like, where is it?
And I think that
Right.
safety point is probably a huge one.
But when they're big enough, they will still have like their driveway. Then
Yeah.
it will be 50, 60 feet, and it's like a gate and an address, and you're like, this house, this driveway goes to that house back there that I can see. Like, so I'm not a huge fan of them, but I mean, if it's bigger lots, I feel like you can get away with it. And usually it's because of like a watershed or something. The access thing is, there's a big chunk of ground. They only want to put one culvert through a ditch, and it's engineered and goes to the Army Corps of Engineers, and it's a wetland, and so they end up allowing it because of the way the property is made a billion years ago. But I'm not a fan of them. They're a pain.
Anybody else?
I'm fine with cleaning up our code and adding something about them. I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right.
You've made Heather very happy.
What's that? We made Heather
Hates
happy.
flagpoles. It's like her number one.
Yeah, they're a big headache all around.
I go straight back to the health and safety. And again, to Corey's point, in the country, when you have 40-acre lots, you're fine, but here, it's a
Well,
problem.
yeah, and even out in the country, when it depends on how they do the access, because if it's an easement, then the next person that buys the front lot fences it off, and then we have neighbor wars, and they're just problematic all around.
Yeah, I think it just clean it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that one will hit P&Z first then.
Yeah.
Since it's changed.
We good?
Yeah.
Do you
I think
got
I'm
a
good.
handle on it there? Okay.
Yeah. Jason's like, I don't know, that just went all over the place.
Yeah, that's the point of it.
Jumping back and forth.
This is why we make a list.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Great.
So, that was our discussion. You don't need anything else from us, right?
No, I think we just need some prioritization from you all.
Okay. All right.
You'll see these again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're done with that one. Next item on the agenda is items for the December 11 meeting. So we have a public hearing for adopting the 2025 mill levy and budget, a resolution or several resolutions, one for setting the 2025 board meeting schedule, setting water and sewer tap fees, set monthly utility rates, fee in lieu of dedicated land. That's the school Or is that the
No,
parks?
that's, any subdivision has to dedicate a percentage of land for either parks or open space.
Okay.
Or they can pay a fee
Mm-hmm.
if the town requests it, or
Mhm.
is it desperate to get our hands on something. It depends on how large the subdivision.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then readopting the 1 mile and 3 mile plans.
All in the new housekeeping.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that we would like to see on the agenda?
The Doobie Sisters turned in their application for that.
For what?
Doobie
Doobie
Sisters.
Sisters.
Dispensary.
Yeah.
Marijuana license.
A renewal.
Oh, a renewal. Okay, I thought maybe they were expanding or something. Okay.
No, renewal.
All right.
And potentially a 2024 budget amendment. I will crunch numbers at the end of November to see if there's a budget amendment necessary, maybe in the super fund.
Go figure.
And depending on how rent revenue comes in versus expenditures in the general fund, because we've got some big projects happening.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and depending on how that cash flow is happening, there may be a budget amendment this year, and then of course we'll catch up again next year. But if it is necessary, you'll see that in December. And I'll have a staff report that explains why it's necessary if it becomes necessary.
Okay.
In regard to Peter's comments today during audience business, I would like to eventually talk about maybe doing some sort of letter to our senators and representatives in regards to the land grab up here at Chicken Creek. But I think we should wait maybe till there's actually a case or some sort of something more pressing than just putting one out there now.
I would agree with that. The Forest Service is working through litigation.
Yeah.
It's not
Mhm.
they're gonna-
I mean, if it goes to court or something along those lines, maybe then we put together some sort of letter in support of the Forest Service or.
I think they need it right now.
You think they do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it sounds like the orders, I talked to some of the district rangers, some of the orders are coming from DC is to take a non-stance on this, but it feels like it's building in the community. And, some of the folks that are up there on the land are associated with Mountain Deer Wildlife Refuge. It seems like there's some energy building around it, both in our community, but also in some folks from out of town who are starting to kind of put their feet down up there. And I feel like it's a good moment for us to support the Forest Service and potentially support just their jurisdiction over that land, even though we don't have jurisdiction, but our community uses it. And I think it's a good moment as a show of force.
Well,
I think we need to do something.
if you think that it would help now, then I'm totally for doing some sort of letter to the Forest Service in support of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with waiting too, and it's sort of vague to just say we support the Forest Service.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. If there's something to support, that's kind of where I'm at. Is like if we can write a letter in support of X, Y, and Z, I think it's going to have more force behind it than we just support
See
the
what the
Forest
county
Service.
is doing. Like, I feel like there's a few things in play.
Yeah,
Maybe we, can look back at it on the next one and see if anything's transpired in a month.
Yeah.
And kind of where they're at and their stance. And I mean, I know their hands are tied on a lot. There's a big jurisdictional issue going on the federal land versus, and I mean, I deal with it even in a fire. It's stupid. But like, they'll be like, this is on fire. I'm like, can we go to that? And they're like, no, that's not the forest. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, but if it crosses that road and it gets in the grass, then you can go get it. And I'm like, you realize how stupid this is, right? Like, that's Kern County. This is the Sequoia. You can't do that. You can't go here. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys are killing me.
Yeah,
But
I think
that's the world they operate in. So
Yeah.
between different agencies that are responsible for different things, between federal, state, county, local, like,
Yeah.
I think, see where they're at. And I'm all for supporting them in any way to end this. I think it's ridiculous personally, but collectively, I think we need to wait and see kind of how this all plays out and then understand there's a huge hierarchy in this and how this works.
Sure, I think you don't want to be too passive.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I think the county's, trying what they can and reaching out and trying to generate some help up above them. And I think I don't know where the state will be in it, seeing as how it's a Forest Service thing.
Yeah.
So, a lot of those do end up coming down to, like we had one instance where I was at, they will bring the state police and they will bring, because they don't have the resources.
Yeah.
But it ends up having to be a request from the district and they have to go through the right channels and then they can get all of the resources. But they have a whole process they have to go through before they can do anything, you know, and without it being an imminent threat to, you know, property or life, you know, they're like, well, you can go camp in the forest if you want, but until there's something else, I don't know where they're at with how they can address it.
Yeah. Daniel,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to get worked out before we can support it and say, well, I think everybody already knows that already, that the residents around here don't want, you know, people doing that, but yeah, I don't know, it's a tough issue. I don't really have any solid, firm thoughts on it, I suppose.
Okay.
I think I'm waiting on like when something happens we can support it. Because I think if we just say we are against this thing, I don't want to say we're doing it, but we're permissioning the community to keep going out and taking down fence.
Fan the flame.
Like we should not do that, no matter how we feel about it. But when it comes to something that's in public, I think we should absolutely show our support. But once it's a thing that you can advocate for, I just don't want to permission people to keep doing something that, again, like I work in conservation, I know the West. Like this is malleable stuff that I don't want our citizens engaging in, and I don't want us to even hint that we want them to be involved. Until
I see that.
Yeah,
And
I think it'll be an important distinction when and if we do decide to send a letter that we're supporting our public lands, our federal agencies, and not really the citizen involvement, because absolutely, we're not encouraging people to go out there and pick fights, and you know, because
the legal way.
Yeah, I would really rather avoid bloodshed. You know, I don't really want helicopters all over the town.
It's like kids, right?
What's that?
I said to Andre's point, like it's like kids though. When they go to do something, if you're kind of halfway vague, but they're like, but you didn't say I couldn't.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're against it. I'm like, well, I know, but you can't do that. You know, it's. So
we have no authority to tell them they can or can't.
Right. No, but I'm saying is if depending on how we do it, you know,
could be seen as an
look at it and be like, well, the town's with us. It's like, well, wait a minute, like,
right.
They're supporting the Forest Service having their jurisdiction over their land, not, you know, we are not mounting up here to go do this.
Yeah. So I think on that one, it sounds like let's keep tabs on what's going on. If anything specific happens that we can either support or deny. But yeah, I think
we just keep our pulse on it and how it's going and any news updates that happen.
I can say writing a letter for like to the state or to the federal government, whatever, as far as seeking support for them to take care of their stuff and be like, hey, we're, you know, asking that you support the district in, you know, this issue they're with. Like that's one thing, but definitely I think stay away from like taking a stand on it as a board.
Yeah, it's been the consensus, like San Juan Mountain Association, Amazon Land Conservancy, they've all been reached out to and declined to make a statement right now, so we would be going with kind of a consensus. Everyone's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. So I agree. I think we don't want to. We do have citizens living up there armed. You know, the people who fence out. I mean, I know personally some of those guys in there. Joan, Peter's partner, Sunday left, freaked out of her mind because there were gunshots up there when she was hiking around. So like, it's just at this moment where it feels like people are getting tense about it. And so, you know, I don't think we want to encourage that behavior, but we want to be ready to support whatever agency's going to go and say, like, calm us down.
But isn't it hunting season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say I saw a bunch of people with orange hats
She was hiking around that property and they were just like, it was like, she said it was like a war car. She was afraid they were shooting at her. Anyway, it just
Yeah.
it kind of raised the tension of the weekend.
Yeah.
So we just want to be aware of our citizens being up there too.
Yeah. All the wire is all coiled up and
Yeah,
just sitting out there in the woods.
I think what the folks involved, it seems like they're looking for leadership right now, but we don't necessarily want to be the point for
yes, we'd like to recreate up there, but it's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And so it presents some issues.
And this isn't like supporting a local landowner who's a part of the community that's having a problem. We're like, hey, wait a minute, you know, or like it's a federal entity that is
totally
mired in this little fight right now. Like, now I know their budget is terrible, but you know, but they're, you know, it's their district, it's their land, it's their forest, it's you know, they have,
and they need to.
I just think our we can
officers,
support
they
the
have
rule of law.
rangers.
Yes, I think so too. So when and if we do move forward on a letter, I think, you know, we have to be very craftily worded, you know, so that we are absolutely 100% supporting the legal decision, you know, process. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that we want to add to our agenda for next month? Nothing? Olivia? Anything? No. Oh, don't ask me. Okay. Then all the business before us is complete, and so I would look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right. We are adjourning at 8:20.